Hello and welcome to another episode of The Holistic Way. My name is Todd Hart. I'm the host, and I'm very excited about today's guest, an old dear friend of mine, Jules Bertrand. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for having me on.
So Jules is a stress management consultant. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what that means.
Sure. So in stress management, what I do is I offer customized programs for clients, individual clients, or for corporations, designed to help people manage their stress and help them to get more done in less time. I call it From Stress to Success.
Nice. Now, how did you get involved in this?
Through a lot of stress. I used to work in the demanding field of advertising sales in New York City. And while carrying on that job, there was a lot of pressures. Multi-million-dollar accounts I was closing, the fast pace of New York City. At the time, my father was also dying from ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. So my mind and brain went into system overload. I was basically on the verge of a nervous breakdown. I was running to the doctor's offices, I'd say every week, my regular general practitioner, a psychologist, and eventually psychiatrists.
Wow.
Yes, and Western convention medicine, so to speak, that kind of therapy and modality, I did it for a very long time, and I really wasn't seeing any results. To be honest with you, it seemed that I was spiraling down. So what started as one prescription turned into 2 and 3 and 4, as I learned later that these prescriptions were actually causing side effects, which was making me have to take more prescriptions. Started off with anti-anxiety, went to, now I was getting migraines.
Wow.
So I needed a prescription for that. And then I was getting stomach issues, so I needed a prescription for that. Couldn't sleep, needed a prescription for that. So I was basically at my wit's end, and I came enlisted in a yoga program. And that was the very first step into my holistic healing. And since then, the modalities have grown. And that's pretty much how it started.
So how old were you when this was going on? You must have been pretty young.
I was in my early 30s.
Okay. And how many drugs were you on, prescription drugs at the time, do you think?
At the time?
By the time you were done?
By the time I was done, I think there was about 6.
Wow.
About 6. And when it really hit me was, like I said, I was a yoga teacher. My boyfriend came over the house one day and went into the medicine cabinet for something and was shocked. He saw how many prescription drugs were there, the bottles, and said, "Wow, I thought you were the picture of health," because I was wearing a mask.
Yeah, right.
Seemingly, I was living a fabulous life, but inside, my body was breaking down. And that's when I took measures into my own hands. So it started with the yoga programs, became certified to teach. Then I went into holistic health counseling, became certified there, learned about meditation techniques. Essential oil therapy was absolutely fantastic. That was the last step in me getting off of the prescription drugs.
So you were still working, you were still stressed out, and what was the bridge? Taking yoga or learning how to be a yoga instructor? How did you go from that life, that busy life, to what you're doing now?
It's really interesting because I was taking yoga, immediately became certified to teach. So by day, I was on the phone negotiating million-dollar deals with my ad execs. And the stress levels were intense. So on the line, they'd be arguing with me and trying to negotiate the best deal. And I would just take a breath and say, we're going to get the deal done. But I teach a yoga class on Tuesday nights. Why don't you come by? And when I saw the effect that it not only had on me, but it was changing the lives of these other people that were stressed out, that's when I knew there had to be a change. And when the economic meltdown happened, I saw that as a blessing. I actually got laid off from my job.
Oh, wow.
And thankfully, with the help of yoga and meditation, I breathed my way into it. I went off to India, did more searching, and came back, went back into the industry and in the ad industry, and realized, no, this isn't my calling anymore. And I opened up a Reiki chakra balance business in Santa Monica, California. And
so you moved from New York to California. How long have you been there?
About 3.5 years.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yes.
So what kind of programs do you offer people that come to you that are stressed out? What's the first thing that you'll start working with and working on?
So the first thing we do is have a conversation. We try to find out where the anxiety or the stress or the blockages are coming from. So it's a counseling session, the first session. And from there, It's very intuitive. You can kind of realize, okay, well, if you're so stressed out all the time, what's triggering that? And maybe we can do some breathing exercises. Breathing exercises are a very big part of the program. And then we can develop some essential oil therapy, like lavender, for instance. Who knew that lavender can calm down the brain in a matter of seconds? Just a little inhale
Well,
of
you know, I'm a
lavender
big
oil.
fan of essential oils, so we have that in common.
Right.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
like, I didn't know that before. Did you know that before?
No, I didn't know anything before I got involved with it.
And here I am on anti-anxiety and antidepressants, and wild orange can completely alleviate your bad mood.
Wow.
So we talk about these kind of different therapies. Reiki and chakra balancing is very, very, very helpful. I know you and I have done a little bit of Reiki together before. And my first experience with Reiki was at a very difficult time in my life. I was in India doing my soul journey,
Right.
and my apartment got broken into. It was the very first week that I was in India. I had been very sick with what they call Delhi belly. And in the middle of the night, I woke up, I heard a sound, and there was somebody in my room robbing me.
Wow.
I freaked out. I was in a yoga training program at the time. So the yoga teacher said, there's a man next door who does Reiki. And I didn't know much about Reiki at the time. I was very new in my holistic practices. And after 3 sessions, I felt so empowered. It was like a surge of energy. It's that pranic life force energy, they call it. I don't know how much you know about Reiki, aside from the sessions that we've done. But
Just a little bit.
It's an ancient Japanese modality.
Okay.
And it works on the premise that there's a life force energy, and you can tune into and breathe and really experience that life force energy, which will change your mood, offer energy, release pain. So again, there was another modality that I added to my repertoire, and I became trained as a Reiki master.
Now, can anyone tap into this energy, or does someone have to kind of lead you to it and unlock it for you? How does that work?
Well, that's a very good question. I do believe that we all have it, but we have to be guided into it. I mean, for me, what happened was that I walked into that yoga door, which then led me to the door of Reiki, which led me to meditation, holistic health counseling, essential oils. I think once you get into the first door, the other doors just start opening up.
Okay.
Now, to become a Reiki practitioner, you do have to become attuned. So a Reiki teacher, a master teacher, opens up that porthole so that you can receive the energy to transmute it to somebody else.
Now, do you have the ability to do that? Or how far are you in your training with Reiki?
I'm Reiki master.
Okay.
My last step is Reiki master teacher, which then I will be able to attune others.
Very cool. Wow. So who are the people that should come to you? Who's your best client?
My best clients are people like who I once was. It's that stressed out person, works a lot. Maybe they have kids, maybe they don't. There's just a lot on their plate. Just the normal stresses of life. And I also work very well in corporations. So bringing corporate programs, stress release programs at the workplace.
Okay. Now, people that are usually stressed out that work a lot think, I have too much going on, I can't take anything else on. Is it strenuous what you have them do? Is it time consuming? Like, what's involved? What do you have to do with them? What are they looking at?
If they have an hour a week, I will help them.
Really?
Yes. And that's what I used to say when I was teaching yoga. I was working 70 hours a week, okay? And if I would have said to myself then, I have no time, then you wouldn't have time. You have to make that time. There's a lot of other things you can do. If people added up how much time they spent on Facebook, for instance, right?
That's true.
Or just watching the television, take a little bit here and there, add it up. If you only have 15 minutes, well then take 15 minutes.
Right.
Practice a meditation, breathing.
Yeah.
You could do breathing exercise. I used to do it in the subway when I was running around to my meetings. I could feel my breath start to lose control and my heart start to pound. And when that starts to happen, that's when you trigger the stress responses. So I used to think that when this was happening, I'm like, oh God, here comes a panic attack again, here I go. And once I learned these breathing exercises, nobody would even know what I was doing.
Right.
I'm waiting at the subway, just taking some slow, long, deep inhales in.
And it kind of calms you, grounds you.
Completely. Once you learn how to control the breath, you control the body and the mind.
Cool. So you're on the West Coast.
Yes.
But can people on the East Coast contact you? How do people work with you remotely? How does that work?
I actually have clients all over the world.
Okay.
I have clients here on the East Coast, I have clients in Greece, in Australia. So the way it works when we do it remotely like that is we either do a Skype session, or Google Hangout, sometimes even the telephone. And even Reiki, we can do that way as well. So counseling, of course, that's easy. It's on the telephone.
Right.
And with Reiki, there is a distance symbol that we use, which will actually bridge me to that person. So I get the person lying down comfortably, some calm music in the background. And I do a guided meditation through my Reiki sessions as well. So
it's the same as what I experienced with you, but it's just remotely.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
And it has the same effect? That's pretty cool.
My Reiki practitioner is my sister, and she lives in North Carolina, and I live in Los Angeles.
Right.
And whenever I feel like I need something a little bit more, it's a different when you do it with yourself and then when somebody else does it with you. So I just text message my sister and say, hey, got a migraine or a little stressed out. Can you send me something? And she does.
That's really cool. Now, you get something also, don't you, when you're doing a Reiki session?
Yes.
Because it's coming through you, so doesn't it also help you?
It's a very good question because people ask me a lot. They say, do you get stressed? Do you get drained from it? And actually, no, I actually get more you receive from it. It's a very giving and receiving energy. So it comes through me into the practitioner, into the client, and we're both receiving.
Because we were at the house this weekend, and there were 4 of us in a row that you did a session with, a Reiki session and a guided sort of meditation.
Yes.
I call it Soul Journey. That's what I call it when I work with you. And it was great, and it was magical, and everyone had a different experience. My daughter loved it, and we all had this profound experience, and it was really, really wild. So it was really cool. It was actually really beautiful. I encourage everyone to do this. So how do people, do you have like a website?
I do.
What's your website?
It's JewelsBertrand.com, and Jewels like the jewelry.
Yep.
JEWELS, Bertrand.com.
So let's talk about something that I love. I'm diffusing wild orange right here, and I diffuse it at every show. Let's talk about essential oils. How did you get involved with essential oils? What initially drew you in, and what keeps you coming back?
Well, it was interesting because at the time I was at the very last step of getting off of all of my medications. The problem was every time I got to the very end of it, then the brain would realize that there's no more drugs coming in to activate the neurotransmitters, and I'd have to go back on the medication again. But as the universe would have it, I was listening to a webinar one night, and this woman was talking about how she changed her life with essential oils. I had not heard much about essential oils prior, if anything. But after the webinar, I called her up, and I said, I think this is a little too good to be true, the fact that you say they work so immediately, but it's been a constant struggle for me to get off of this medication, and I'm willing to try.
Right.
So she guided me along, and I ordered a bunch of oils and some supplements, and I knew nothing about them. When that kit came in, I looked at the box and I said, what is this? I don't even know where to begin.
Right.
But I started to do my own research, and it was true. I mean, immediately I started to notice the effects. Now, I do want to say that you should work with your doctor when you're trying to get off of medication. You never go cold turkey. When I was working with my doctor at the time, I had a Western doctor, a holistic doctor, and I was already almost at the end of taking the medication. I had weaned down, but that again was that part that time where I told you every time I did that, that's when it became the worst. And this time it didn't. And there was a few essential oils that I swear by that helped me during that period. One was frankincense. Very funny name.
Now, how are you using the frankincense?
So the frankincense, I would actually put it on the pressure points. So temples, I'm a meditator, third eye was a very good place. Actually, the bottoms of the feet.
Okay.
So as you know, what happens is when you put essential oils at the bottom of the feet, it goes straight into the blood.
Right.
And within about 30 seconds, it's in the bloodstream.
It's the bloodstream. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Pretty wild, right? And what I later learned was that the sense of smell is the strongest sense that we have. It's actually 10,000 times stronger than any other scent. And what happens is when you're inhaling the oil, and when you're putting them on the pressure points, you're actually smelling them too, right? And I'd put a little bit under my nose. So when you inhale, it goes through the olfactory system and into the amygdala. And the amygdala helps to combat stress because it works with the hormones. and goes into the limbic system. And again, we're dealing with hormones there. We're dealing with stress responders, memory, long-term memory, right? And these essential oils help to work with all of that, and it helps the body to support itself.
And this is all from just smelling it.
That was from smelling it, yes.
Wow. So frankincense is one. What are the others?
Lavender, which we spoke about,
Yep.
very calming. Vetiver, when I was having the high-end panic attacks. And for my dog, too. I have a little Chihuahua. They get a little... my dog is actually part of my Reiki sessions. And sometimes she gets very excited when the clients come in.
Right.
And so I put a little bit of Vetiver on the bottoms of her paws. Calms down immediately. Every time when a client comes in and sees that happen, they're shocked.
Well, our dog loves the oils. Jack loves the oils, so yeah, I love it. So you've got frankincense, you've got vetiver, you've got lavender, and then you were taking the supplement line.
Yes.
They call it Lifelong Vitality Pack.
Yes.
And that was enough to keep you off the...
So nutrition is a very important part of it too, right? So for the essential oils, yes, and now I have, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 60 different essential oils.
Right.
I've later learned about Roman chamomile, geranium is very calming. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. But nutrition, what I learned is a lot of the support that you need to combat stress comes from your gut. And I found it interesting that my doctors never even asked me what I was eating.
Wow.
So for me, I had been a vegetarian since I was 17. Didn't mean I was doing it right.
Right.
I mean, I was eating a lot of pasta. The pasta was turning into sugar, which was giving me that high spike and then that deep crash.
Right.
So I learned to get off of all the simple carbs and move into complex carbs. So I replaced my pastas with quinoa. First of all, I was getting a lot of protein because I'm a vegetarian. It's the highest protein in any grain is quinoa. And I incorporated leafy greens. Dark leafy greens are very important. Spinach can help reduce stress because of the magnesium.
Oh, right. Okay.
Steel-cut oatmeal releases serotonin. Serotonin is the happy drug in your brain, right? The happy neurotransmitter.
Wow.
So getting off of sugar, getting off of caffeine, getting off of all processed foods. Started to make all of my own foods. One of the easiest ways that I get a healthy meal is with my smoothies in the morning.
Now, you mentioned the other night you were doing a presentation for a group of people, and you said that people always think it takes forever to cook and eat this way. And you said, actually, no, it's very quick. And you said it takes your mom longer to make a pot roast than it does for you to make your dinner, which is like 15 minutes.
Yes.
So it's actually quite simple.
Yes. I tend to buy a lot of greens. Cut them up, or you can buy them already chopped if you don't feel like cutting them up.
Right. Sure.
Trader Joe's, you can go get them cut up. A little bit of coconut oil, saute them up. I'll usually make a pot of quinoa ahead of time for about 3 days, a nice big pot. So you mix up the quinoa with the greens. You can either do it hot or do a cold kale and quinoa salad. The smoothies are 5 minutes.
Right.
I eat fish. I'm a pescatarian, actually, not a vegetarian. So put that on the grill. That's about 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, nothing takes longer than 15 minutes
Wow.
for me.
So was it hard to transition into this life, or was it more just one thing at a time that you discovered? You didn't do it all in one day, and you're not asking people to do that either.
It took me years.
Okay.
It really did. But what I like to do now is really fast track people to that lifestyle. I mean, for me, first of all, I waited until crisis, right? So I was already in the midst of a breakdown. I traveled to India. I traveled to Nepal. Countless yoga programs, the Reiki programs, the nutrition programs. I mean, I had to piece it together myself. And what I like to do is I created this 5-point system for my clients where they sign up with me for a 6-month period. And there's different packages, whether they want to work with me once a week, every other week, or once a month.
Okay.
But in that package, we work on all those modalities. We work on the yoga or movement. We work on the meditation, the breath work, natural plant therapy, nutrition, and the energy work.
So you'll help transition them to this new lifestyle, and it's not going to be stressful for them.
No.
Okay. Because I would think that it's stressful to, like when you think you have to change your diet and you got to do this and that and all that, it sounds stressful to the average person.
It's baby steps.
It's baby steps.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe the first nutrition step would just drink more water, find ways to incorporate greens in your diet.
Right.
Right. We're not going to go from point A to point D all in one.
Right.
You know.
Now, what kind of yoga do you practice?
So I am a Hatha teacher and a Kundalini teacher. I started off teaching power yoga. I was in New York City.
Yep.
I was still in that power masculine lifestyle.
Sure.
And I still enjoy the power yoga. When I want a good workout, I do the power yoga. These days, I've really slowed it down and made it more of a meditative flow. And most recently, I graduated from the Kundalini yoga program in Los Angeles. And that has been a magical experience.
What is Kundalini? What is that?
So Kundalini is very different. It uses mantra, which are sounds, mudra, which are hand movements, okay, breath work, and body movement. And what it does is it actually helps you to access that inner sense of self and connect you to a universal self. They call it the releasing of the Kundalini energy.
Okay.
The biggest thing that I found with Kundalini was when I started practicing it daily, everything that needed to fall away in my life just simply fell away. And everything that I was trying to cultivate was just coming in. It was just like an opening doorway. My teachers were telling me this at the time because, again, at the time that I was taking on the program, I was also in a stressful period of my life. I was flying in from, I was living in Denver, Colorado at the time, and I was flying into Los Angeles. And I was just really stressed out. And the teachers, all they said was just keep doing the practice.
Right.
And I did. And I had faith and I trusted in that. And it's been a beautiful experience.
Nice. Now, does that incorporate meditation as well?
It does. A lot of meditation.
Okay.
A lot.
And is that what you're teaching people, is the Kundalini style when you're teaching them meditation and breath work? Or is that something separate?
It's always different. And you know what? I think spirit just tells me what they need.
Okay.
So sometimes it's mindfulness meditation. Sometimes it's Kundalini meditation. Sometimes it's a Hatha workout. Sometimes it's a Kundalini workout.
Wow. So when you're consulting with people, you kind of get a sense of what they need.
Yes.
You're kind of tuning into them saying, I think you might need this, you might need that.
Absolutely.
Nice.
It's hard to pre-plan it because you don't know where they're showing up at the time. It's like when I used to first start teaching yoga and I'd have my class prepped and I'd have this great program prepped and I'd look around the room and maybe there's an 85-year-old man in the corner and somebody with a knee injury there, and it's like, okay, maybe this plan isn't going to work so well. So I've learned to trust intuition and let spirit guide.
Nice. So we have a couple of minutes left. You seem very calm, and I know you, and I know you've been traveling all over the world lately, but yet you seem very calm, which is really cool. So obviously it's working for you. Any closing thoughts, comments to share with people?
I think a first step is just tune into your breath. Really take a moment every single day, just get really quiet, and start to take some slow, long, deep inhales in through the nose, fill up the belly, fill up the air.
And it starts with the belly, right?
It starts with the belly.
All right.
Goes into the chest, go up through the crown of the skull, and release it out. If you just start with that simple practice every day, magnificent changes will happen in life.
5 minutes a day, maybe?
5 minutes a day is great. That's even more than they have to, really.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I know that I practice that every once in a while when I'm sitting at a traffic light. I'll just concentrate on my breathing, especially if you're stressed out from driving in New England, which can be very stressful, although LA is stressful too. Yes. I think driving everywhere is stressful. So again, your website?
JulesBertrand.com.
Okay. If you have any questions for the show or for me, or if you want to reach out to Jules and you want to email through us, you can send an email to theholisticway@hotmail.com. Should be on the screen. Again, it's theholisticway@hotmail.com. I'm Todd Hart, and this has been a pleasure. I love having you on the show. I know we've been talking about it for a while, and we actually met in Salt Lake City, even though we both come from Rhode Island.
Yes.
Which is really, really funny. So it's a very small
Same
world.
small town.
Yeah, exactly. So it's amazing how that works. We've got a few more minutes, so anything else you want to share?
Practice a little bit of breath work?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay.
We can close the show with some breath work.
Okay.
Breath work.
So we're going to do alternate nostril breathing, okay? So the legs are flat feet are flat on the ground. Right hand, thumb on the right nostril.
Oh, left hand, yep.
Yeah. Take a deep inhale in. Hold the breath. Switch hands. And release the breath. Inhale in. Hold the breath. Switch in. And release. And you do that for about a minute, and that's called alternate nostril breathing, and it actually balances both sides of the hemispheres of the brain and brings deep relaxation. So if you want to look that up, it's alternate nostril breath.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. This has been The Holistic Way. I've been Todd Hart. Stay healthy.